Greetings. I am Dr. Patricia Smyer, the DEI officer for the city of Lexington, North Carolina. I am so excited today to share with you that we're getting ready to hear from our city council as well as our mayor, referencing the importance and values, their experience, their journeys on Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and the National Day of Racial Healing. It is so important to understand that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. made one statement that always rings to me. Injustice for one is injustice for all.
Think of Dr. Martin Luther King, the first word that comes to my mind is strength.
Mm.
The other one is love. And the third one is dedication and commitment. I think the precedence that he set for us as people is one that shows those four things that's all in the one big old ball in it. And with love, we tend to treat each other with compassion. We tend to treat each other with equity. We tend to treat each other with inclusion and justice. So when I think of Martin Luther King, I look at those things as, this powerful conglomerate of things that help us as a people to get along on this place called Earth.
When I think of MLK, Martin Luther King, and the impact he had on our society here as well as internationally, one of the most pivotal moments in my life related to Martin Luther King was when I went on a field trip up to Washington, D.C. with a sixth grade class and went to the MLK Memorial.
Okay.
And just seeing from a mountain of despair comes a stone of hope.
Yes.
That monument was so impactful to me.
Wow, we have had such great interviews today here in Life's Journeys, Stories, History. And now we are privileged to have our very own and only, currently, City Council female, and that is Councilor Whitney Brooks. We're glad to have you here today.
I'm delighted to be here today.
Awesome. So listen, share with us about what does Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. civil rights mean to you, and also about the National Day of Racial Healing.
When I think about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the word persistence comes to mind. I think about all that he went through, and although I can't personally relate to everything that he went through, I think about difficulties that we face in our own lives today and how quick we are to give up at the smallest thing, the smallest step, the smallest boundary, hiccup, you name it. He didn't do that, and he couldn't. We live in a world today where there is so much information coming at us so fast, all the time, from every direction. And it can be difficult to pause and listen and to know where to pause and listen and when to pause and listen and to really truly listen. And when I think about racial healing, I think about all the times that people have not, and still today are not, truly heard.
The Martin Luther King Day that we celebrate is so important to me because I came along at a time in the 60s where we had integration, where we had going into the back of the buildings to get food. As a matter of fact, this city hall, this particular building where the conference room is now currently, when I was a boy, I actually went in the back when that was a barbecue stand and actually bought food in the back that I would take to people. And racial healing requires us to examine our history. And if we don't examine our history, we're going to continue to live in the past.
Growing up, some may know, some may not know. I grew, not only did I grew up in a diverse environment, I grew up in a diverse family. And so Martin Luther King was put kind of on a pedestal because we went through some things that maybe everybody didn't. Um, I was born in Lexington. I lived in Lexington until I was in the 5th grade. Then we moved to Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh.
We primarily moved to Atlanta, Georgia, because my mom thought that our family situation would be a little bit more comfortable down there.
When I think about Dr. King's legacy, the word that immediately comes to mind is sacrifice. Dr. King was a man who sacrificed his life. He was willing to give his life for causes that he knew were bigger than himself. Causes like racial equity, economic equity, housing equity, educational equity, and in doing that, he told inconvenient truths, not truths that were popular or aligned politically with the era in which he lived, but truths that were necessary to help us get to where we are today, but also that we are better together, that we are stronger together, that we are wiser together. When I think about the National Day of Racial Healing, I have to associate the word diversity with that as well. Mm-hmm. That diversity is a strength of our community.
I think from a city perspective, as it relates to Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday and holiday recognition, first and foremost, I think it's really an acknowledgement of the significant impact that one individual has made through non-violent demonstration. But it's not just about that one individual. That individual was able to really cultivate a strong understanding of discrimination, mm-hmm. And also able to focus their non-violent demonstration efforts on state and federal law. So when I think of Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday, it really is a recognition of that whole effort, mm-hmm. And importantly, where we've come from, mm-hmm. But also equally as important, I think, of where we still have yet to go. Yes.
Something is happening in our world. The masses of people are rising up, and wherever they are assembled today, whether they are in Johannesburg, South Africa, Nairobi, Kenya, Accra, Ghana, New York City, Atlanta, Georgia, Jackson, Mississippi, or Memphis, Tennessee, the cry is always the same: we want to be free.